Rappers biting other rappers. It's a pretty common phenomenon in the hip-hop world since, let's face it, coming up with original ideas can be pretty hard sometimes. But contrary to what most other people think, I don't believe a song should automatically be considered bad just because an artist is taking heavy inspiration from another artist's sound. So today, we're just going to be going through some of the most egregious examples I could find of rappers biting other rappers, and I'll be deciding if they get a pass from me. And that's it. That's the whole video idea. So let's just get started with the song that inspired this video in the first place.
Please don't do the most right now. If I hit you up, please don't go right now.
This one's kind of funny since I imagine like 90% of people had the exact same first reaction to the song as I did. I'm about 3/4 into my first listen of Eternal Take 2, and it's taking everything in my power to not just give up with the sheer amount of ass that tracks 1 through 11 hit me with. But then I get to Chill Bay, and get this, I think it actually sounds pretty damn good. I'm messing with the verses, I like the production, even the hook is starting to get stuck in my head, but then all of a sudden it just hits me. This is just a Drake song. Like, there's so much here that gives me such strong Drake vibes, it cannot just be me. The chilled out, spacey R&B instrumental, the hook sounds like something Drake could write, the second verse where Uzi even puts on a little bit of a fake accent, and hell, they even call themselves the boy on verse 1. But as for if it gets the Mushroomz seal of approval, maybe just because everything else on EA2 is such dog shit, but I think I can actually vibe with this one for the time being, so I'll give it a pass.
Come with me, leave all of your things, yeah. You can stop at Gucci, stop at Louis.
I'll be honest, I had no idea how to order these picks, but I'll tell you right now, there's gonna be a lot more Drake records coming up, so just prepare yourself, I guess. Starting off with this blatant ripoff of The Weeknd with DJ Khaled, Grease. Now, Drake has definitely taken inspiration from Abel before, specifically on Take Care a lot, but that album had a lot of input from him behind the scenes, so I don't see it as much as a stealing thing as more of a collaborative thing. Grease, on the other hand, is literally just Drake trying to do his best impression of The Weeknd. I think it mostly has to do with the pitching up of his vocals that try to make it sound like he's singing higher than he actually is, but the melody he hits in the chorus too really gives me some strong Reminder vibes. And I'll admit the lyricism is definitely more signature Drake, but sound-wise he's still biting pretty damn hard in my opinion. On to the Mushroomz seal of approval though, and yeah, this one ain't getting a pass from me, chief. Normally I can tolerate Drake ripping off other artists since he's kind of a musical chameleon in a sense, but here it doesn't even make for that good of a song. And with the beef between him and The Weeknd now, I can only imagine Abel being pissed the fuck off when this track originally dropped. Anyways, next Drake song.
I know when that Hotline Bling, that can only mean one thing.
Perhaps Drake's most iconic ripoff moment of all time, so I won't stay on this one for too long since I think most people know how egregious the biting is here. But if you somehow haven't heard Cha Cha by Dram, go ahead and give it a listen. It is actually insane how similar the instrumentals sound.
I like the way you move. I saw you coming across the you started wearing less and going out more.
And little fun fact, when this song originally premiered on Beats 1 OVO Sound Radio, it was literally labeled as a Cha-Cha remix. But yeah, I mean, what more can I even say? It's probably the most famous example of biting from the last decade. And no seal of approval again, unfortunately, Hotline Bling is super mid, so.
Know you got a roommate, call me when there's no one there, put the key under the mat and you know
I mainly picked Best I Ever Had here since I think it's another acceptable example of Drake ripping off another artist, this time from Lil Wayne of course. Like the verses on this track are so Wayne coded, it's actually hilarious, and I mean it makes sense since Wayne was Drake's mentor back in this era, but still. Tell me she called the referee cause I be so official, my shirt ain't got no stripes but I can make your pussy whistle isn't the most Wayne line that Wayne's never rapped. But like I said before, Best I Ever Had for sure gets the Mushroomz seal of approval, again for what Drake does in the hook. I seriously don't doubt for a second that his melodic ability is what truly separated him from Lil Wayne and resulted in this track becoming his first big hit. Anyways, let's finally move on to some goofier non-Drake examples finally. Now we get to good old Smokepurpp, maybe the most shameless biter on this entire list. I know I keep saying how blatant these ripoffs have been, but I promise, Smokepurpp takes it to a whole new level with this track and the next two. The Matrix specifically sees Purpp doing a spot-on Travis Scott impression, down to the vocals, production, everything. And you can especially tell from the Mike Dean production that he got, like that synth that comes into the end, tell me you wouldn't hear that on Astroworld. There's also this little specific thing that I've seen Travis Scott do in his hooks where the lines are repeated up an octave but slightly distorted, and what do you know, that's also on the hook on here. By far the biggest problem though, and why the song still doesn't get the seal of approval for me, is because of Smokepurpp's vocals. Even while biting another artist's sound, he just does not have the vocal presence to steal effectively, as opposed to someone like a Drake for example.
I had to show niggas I'm really back. They thought I fell off, now they taking it back.
Literally 2 songs later on the same album, we get another ripoff courtesy of Smokepurpp, this time of DaBaby. Weird flute/clarinet thing in the main melody of the instrumental? Check. Song starts immediately with rapping? Check. Literally DaBaby's signature ad-libs in the song? Check number 3. And even though Purpp is ripping off a sound that I do like, again, he just doesn't have the same vocal presence as someone like DaBaby even, so this style just does not work. No Mushroomz seal of approval once again. And get this, I kid you not, another 2 songs later on the exact same album, Smokepurpp is now ripping off the baby voice Playboi Carti. I know I've just been playing clips a lot, but like, surely you guys can hear this too. I'm not going insane, right? And I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but again, Purpp has nowhere near as much vocal presence as someone like Carti, and what's even worse is the beat on Ariba is just so damn generic. So it's not even like he can rely on some great Carti-type production to carry the tracks. Sure, the biting would be even more shameless, but the song would be better overall. Smokepurpp, you are now officially over 3 in the Mushroomz seal of approvals. Do better, please. Finally though, we get back to some rip-offs that I actually really like. I think I mentioned this in a community post a few months back, but I genuinely think that if Timmy Turner was just a Future song, it'd be like top 10 in his discography. It is phenomenal biting. I know everyone was clowning Desiigner for his weird-ass freestyle using the hook for the song, but when it's put into the actual track, it's like a hymn. It's just straight up hypnotizing. And even if he does sound insanely similar to Future, I think Desiigner has a pretty strong vocal performance here. The production too. I know I'm a simp for Mike Dean and all that, but his work on here is simply incredible. That part where the song shifts from a minor key to a major key while the hook stays the same but the energy completely changes is just so fucking cool to me. And apparently Desiigner also had a hand in the production himself, so shout out to him I guess. Dare I even call this essentially Designer's version of Codeine Crazy. So yeah, it's gonna get the Mushroomz seal of approval for me, for sure. On to another more recent one, and funnily enough, another Future ripoff. With Carti's deep voice style that he uses nowadays, there are a lot of times where he reminds me of Future vocally, but with All Red, he just straight up sounds exactly like Future. It's on another level. And honestly, I think it's pretty cool to basically hear Future over Carti production. Kinda reminds me of their track together, Teen X. I also mentioned earlier that I think Carti has a strong enough delivery where he can bite successfully, and yeah, I would say that's still the case here. I do like the song quite a bit, even if it sounds a lot like Future. So yeah, another seal of approval for me. Before we move on though, maybe a little bit of a hot take for me here, but I think Type Shit is an even more egregious ripoff of Future from Carti. Obviously I can't add it to this list since it is technically a Future song, but just give it another listen and see what I mean. Carti literally sounds like he's directly trying to copy the vocal inflections in Future's verse. Sorry, I just felt like I had to mention that one. Anyways, moving on. So Lovin' On Me, while being an obvious Drake ripoff, is actually the first song after Hotline Bling where the biting is so apparent you can pin it down to a single song. While Chill Bae was going more for Drake's R&B style, Lovin' On Me is simply a shameless clone of the motto. Like, listen to the 2 instrumentals back to back. Truly the only difference is the sample that absolutely carries Jack Harlow's song.
I'm the fucking man, y'all don't get it, do you? Type of money, everybody acting like they knew you.
All the girls in the front row, all the girls in the barricade.
And if you know me, you'll know that I absolutely fucking despise the motto, and so Jack isn't even ripping off a good Drake track. Jack, man, you do not get the Mushroomz seal of approval. Okay, so I, like pretty much everyone else, haven't thought about Jaden Smith since like 2019, but I was re-listening to some tracks on the Sunset tapes for whatever reason, and oh my god, who let him bite from Kanye this fucking hard? I know Jaden's another pretty notorious biter in his music, but like the vocal harmonies on this song, Distant, they're literally just stolen from Lost in the World. You can't tell me otherwise.
I'm up in the woods, down by home.
And what's even crazier is we low-key get 2 different ripoffs in the exact same song. The pitching up and down of Jaden's voice in his verse is giving me some really strong Frank Ocean / Brockhampton vibes.
So in reality, I'm in the cut of the club with my jaw clenched and tinted lenses.
And like I said before, this is nowhere near the only example of Jaden ripping off other artists. That's about 80% of his whole discography, but I don't think I've seen a more blatant case from him than on Distant. No seal of approval yet again. It's just 6 minutes of copying other musicians.
A walking attraction, a walking distraction. I'm naturally black.
And on to another blatant Kanye ripoff. Travis has taken inspiration from Ye a lot of times before, obviously. Hell, he has songs with verses written by Ye. But Circus Maximus is by a mile the Travis Scott song the most derivative of a Kanye one. It's literally just Black Skinhead 0.5. It's got the same rolling drum pattern, the same chants, virtually the same flow from Travis, pretty much everything besides the features. And while I do like Sway Lee's intro and The Weeknd's refrain, the track still does nowhere near enough in my opinion to separate itself from its much better inspiration. So yeah, it won't be getting the seal of approval from me. I can't believe I gave this track a 10 out of 10 in my original Utopia review. It's like a 6 at best. What was I thinking?
Gone for a minute, but I'm back now. Sit the fuck back down.
Now Logic's got a lot of criticism for his much earlier work sounding a lot like Good Kid, Mad City, but in my opinion, the title track on Everybody is Logic's biting at its most shameless. I mean, you really couldn't make a more obvious ripoff of Alright if you tried. Let's see, what do we have here? Extremely similar chopped up vocal sample in the instrumental, fast-paced chop your flow over said instrumental.
Every day my logic, get another dollar just to keep you in the presence of your Chico. Go down like a Jehovah Witness, God is my witness, a witness, but on the real, I think I need another witness.
Lyricism that focuses on racial issues and how the respective artists experienced it in their own life. Chorus that recontextualizes the verses in a more positive manner, promoting unity/love. I mean, call me a nitpicker all you want, but when all of these similarities are present, it's really hard to ignore. And given Logic's track record when it comes to taking heavy inspiration from artists he looks up to, it's hard to see this as just a coincidence. However, I am going to give the song the slightest bit of mercy by giving it the Mushroomz seal of approval, because I do think it's still one of Logic's best all-time songs. Even if it is really just a much worse version of Alright, a much worse version of one of the best rap songs of the 2010s still results in a high-quality song, I think.
Yeah, she said it's just because I love you that I see you out here poisoning yourself.
Now we finally get to the one that I've been waiting to talk about this whole time. So I started really listening to MAVI this year when his album Shadowbox dropped, and I have loved nearly everything he's put out. And while this track I picked, Self Love, sounds a lot like Earl Sweatshirt, I think it's a phenomenal example of biting from another rapper and still making an amazing song in its own right. Like I said, I don't think an artist ripping off another automatically results in a bad track. But for me, there still has to be enough unique aspects to the track where it can stand on its own, and in my opinion, most of MAVI's stuff certainly does. Sure, you could say that his laid-back, deeper style of delivery is heavily reminiscent of some rap songs era Earl, but he's also got a slight melodic edge to his delivery, I think, and he'll even pick up in intensity at some points, which I think helps him stand out a lot. And sure, the stripped-back soul sample instrumental is again very Sweatshirt-coded, but MAVI's instrumentals in comparison to Earl's tend to have a little extra bit of warmth to them, if that makes sense, which again I think separates his stuff a lot.
Changing life. If you let me trying to eat, ain't really craving vices, gain insights from.
And coupled with the fact that I simply love the Earl Sweatshirt formula, Self Love is easily my favorite track across this entire list, and one of my favorites of 2019. So safe to say it gets the Mushroomz seal of approval for sure.
She thought my cook was a ghost. Told that bitch no dish, so rape stars on my roof.
Alright, and as for our grand finale, there truly is no better artist for a video like this than the absolute goat of stealing from other rappers, that of course being Kid Buu. For anyone that doesn't remember when this guy was more popular, genuinely his most defining characteristic as a rapper is him stealing from other rappers. I mean, his name is a reference to the Dragon Ball character who absorbs the powers of others to use himself. Hell, his debut album is called Revenge of the Clones. He has to be self-aware at least a little bit. Anyways, let's go through a little lightning round of some of my favorite examples of Kid Buu's biting. Heartbreak, complete ripoff of Trippie Redd in the chorus and Lil Uzi Vert in the verses.
Yeah, she say I'm standing her up. What? I say I'm stacking too much.
Death to SoundCloud, complete ripoff of Audi by Smokepurpp.
I don't want friends, I want Audis. Smoking on booth and it's MAVI. I check the bitch like I'm Mari. Sorry, bitch, I don't say sorry.
The reason favorite rappers get replaced. Uzi like pimple with popping your face.
His album title is a complete ripoff of Trippie Redd's A Love Letter to You series. The music video for its track Blunt is a complete ripoff of Playboi Carti's R.I.P. music video. Papa, complete Ski Mask the Slump God ripoff. No Feels, complete ripoff of Yeet. He even stole Yeet's umlaut thing that he does with the E's.
I ain't got no feeling, why would you lie to me, bitch? I ain't got no.
Dead Roses, bro ripped off Nav of all people.
All this ice, I need a freezer. Whip it up, back beater. Whipping up two-seater. Said she love me, don't believe her.
Ain't no heart up on my shoulder. Ooh, dead that hoe like roses. Ooh, she won't ride up in my coupe.
Also, real quick side note, but does anyone else low-key miss Nav's music? Dude hasn't dropped an album since 2022. I mean, come on, the streets need the new Nav record, please. Anyways, there's way more examples of biting from Kid Buu, but I'll spare you from the rest of his music. And weirdly enough, I almost kind of respect how shameless he is with it, like he doesn't even make an attempt at hiding it. But with how insanely on the nose the biting is, I'll never get anything more out of his music besides some slight entertainment value at his expense. So I guess I'll end it with this. I would rather listen to Kid Buu's entire discography 5 times in a row than give him the Mushroomz seal of approval. Well, That'll do it for my list of songs where rappers rip off other rappers. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel with the bell rung to see new uploads from me every single Saturday and sometimes Wednesday unless I say otherwise in my community posts. Also, leave a comment letting me know about some other tracks with very obvious biting. I'd love to make a part 2 on this video if it gets enough support. And finally, as always, if you'd like to support the channel further, you can now become a member and receive early access to all of my videos as well as a special shout out from me at the end of them, as you'll see on screen right now. So join up if you're interested, it really does help me out a lot. But yeah, that's about it. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like, please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up with a link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Mushroomz, ripoffs, forever.